am Oliver,
I'm Matilda.
And I'm Aidan.
and this is the second episode of That Crazy Music Show. Today we're going to be talking about musical games. And that we're talking about making games out of practicing or composing or performing so as to make it more interesting or more creative as opposed to like laborious and technical or theoretical. For example, if you're having issues practicing for a long amount of time, or you're in a compositional rut, or you're just trying to get in more interesting lines, then maybe making games can be a really interesting way of getting out of those and coming up with some really interesting music. So today we're actually going to be focusing on one element of music, and that's choosing melodies that follow specific intervals. So today we're going to try two different examples. We're going to try interval in seconds and interval in thirds. And when I say seconds, for example, as our first piece, I also mean inversions and compound intervals. So when we choose a second, it also means like, not only does it mean minor second and major second, but it could also mean the inversions, so minor seventh and major seventh, but it could also mean the compound. So compound being that same interval above the octave. So for a second, that would be minor or major ninth. So you can get some really, really exciting sounds by inversion alone, but keeping the same focus on that one interval. And we're going to try the same with thirds. So if you have minor and major thirds, then inverted you have minor and major sixes, and then compounded you have the not the flat 10, but you have the sharp 9 and the major 10. Yeah, that's another episode right there. The controversy of flat 10 or sharp 9. But we'll leave that for another day. We did bring it up in our modal episode. Yeah, we did bring that up in our modal episode. So if you want to hear our perspectives on that, go to our first episode. But that's what we'll be doing for today, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Man, but I really like that vibe. That was very
That was a
very
cool
Yeah.
ending. I feel like
well,
it ended very nicely. I think when
Yeah.
we all realized what was happening, like, oh, that died away really nicely.
I
mm,
like that theme though. But
yeah. It's because yeah, I guess what I was thinking about when I was playing that was I was going for this like I heard this sound when I was practicing it just before, where you keep the top note consistent. Just for example, this is C sharp, and then I play C on the bottom, which creates a flat nine, or like a minor second compound. And then if I raise it, if I raise the bass note up a tone to D sharp, now that's a major seven, which is a that's a minor second compound. Uh, sorry, a minor second inverted. uh, so you have so you have a minor second but up the octave, and then you have a minor second which is inverted. So you could say that both flat nine and major seven are minor second derivatives. But I got this groove like no. And like this is like two major seconds leading up to this. So it's like a whole tone scale. Yeah. But I'm hitting. It reminded me immediately of Stair Baby's harmony. It sounds like exactly like something Dan Weiss would compose, at least in what I've heard. Such a great composer, and I saw him play once live at the Rex, actually, with his trio, piano, bass, and drums. And it was the only time I've ever heard the Rex do a silent performance, because apparently, who knew? You can ask the venue owner. We would like to have a silent performance, so we would like for you to, at the beginning of the performance, let the audience know that this will be a quiet performance, no talking. I was like, it was magic. It was the first time I had heard of a gig at the Rex, and it was quiet, and it just took on a whole new power when it was done that way. But yeah, I really respect Dan Weiss's music, and he collaborates a lot with this really great like really theoretically advanced musician. His name is Miles Okazaki, and together, wow, like power pack. Anyways, what are some of the things you were thinking about, Aidan? Like
ooh. Um
trying to
I
blend
don't
in?
know.
You
Yeah,
said you
I
couldn't hear us.
no, my levels were way off. They're a lot better now. I was just trying to hopefully not take up too much space. Um and so I tried to keep my tone very simple and the melodic material, very simple, just so you guys could build on top of it. And I hope it worked out okay.
Yeah, man, I was like, as pronounced as it was, I was actually just trying to create some sort of like ostinato, almost clave, so that Matilda could play something on top of it. And there were moments where she really was. I was like, oh, this is happening. uh, Okay, so that was the two pieces, and well, I'd like to go to Aidan first on his perspective on how did you feel? What did you notice? What were some challenges playing with a specific interval in mind? Were there certain inversions that you leaned on more, and maybe something you learned on the way?
Yeah, well, so for the first piece, the seconds, I started right away with just your major seconds, and I was just moving up and down. Um, and it's quite neat if you use it kind of the way I did. So I started off.
It's always
I
neat
was
the way you
thinking.
do it, Aidan.
Oh, thank you, Oliver. I was thinking in a major key. I was thinking F major. So I started with scale degree 1 and 2, and then I moved to 2 and 3. But because of my reverb, the one was still in your ear, so I was able to make like a sus2 motion going to like a major chord motion, because of course you don't need the 5, just because of the way my pedals or my chord was set up.
Okay.
So it was really neat to be able to create harmony, like functional harmony, without actually using functional harmony, because a major second on its own doesn't really do that much. So I was constantly trying to find ways to do that. But for the second one, I immediately jumped into inversions. I was using minor and major sixth. This is the one for the thirds, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was planing them in semitones, and then I moved to tones, and then minor thirds, and then major thirds. Just so I was, yeah, major sixth moving minor third and major third apart.
Oh man.
It creates some interesting sounds and interesting motion, but again, the harmony's not all that functional. Um, the hardest part, though, was making sure to listen and make sure that everything else fit into place with what I was doing, and make sure what I was doing fit into place with everything else, you know?
Right. Matilda, what about you?
Yeah, so my approach wasn't as crafted as Aiden's was. I took it more in a, just kind of interval by interval approach. So I was thinking kind of both at once, right? Just
Okay.
under the octave and then compound. Like, okay, so like how can I create the most tension? I took that to be my job as the monophonic instrument, right? Both of you guys are able to do all these things at once simultaneously. And I'm like, okay, I have I only have so many fingers
Yeah.
and nobody wants to hear my multiphonics right now. So, yes, I'm like, okay, what can we do to create the most tension, which in my case, I had the most fun with the seconds. Minor 9,
Oh
one
yeah.
of my
Yeah.
favorite intervals,
Yeah.
previously unsaid sentences.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a super cool sound, especially on flute too, when you kind of displace, pardon me, your register, right, going from like let's say like an E to an F, the octave above. Like it's a really really cool timbral sound that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Outside of just the harmonic, like intervallic aspect as well. So that was that. I kind of took that to be my job, is just the kind of really tense little bird in there, over the kind of chordal stuff that you guys were doing.
Yeah. From my perspective at least, like I tried to sit out at the beginning of the first piece, just because I know that in any size ensemble, if you don't leave enough space, then like it could get kind of clustered sometimes. And like inevitably it'll happen in this one too. But the best I could think of was a logical build might happen better if people fall in more naturally, and after Aidan had an intro in the first piece, then Matilda joined, and then I joined later, and I felt like it was sort of like a logical progression. So maybe from a compositional perspective, if you're writing a piece using seconds, then maybe not using all of your material like in the first 30 seconds, but like letting it grow more naturally might actually be more enjoyable to listen to, because while you might understand your own composition really well, for someone to enjoy it the first time they're listening to it, you have to understand that they don't really hear everything that you hear after like 3, 4, 5 listens, because you've been composing it for this long. So sometimes keeping it simplified can help to keep the composition going longer, more interesting without losing the audience. But one thing I took away from this, well, there are many things I took away, but one of the things that really resonated with me was that depending on the types of intervals you choose, you could actually have very drastically different sounding results, and not only intervals but also tempo, and those things play like a huge part in how it comes out. So because of the Zoom format, and hopefully with the continuation of vaccine deployment, like I already have my first shot. Well, like hopefully we'll be able to do things in person in the near future, and then we will be able to do things that are more rhythmically involved, because right now it's a little bit tricky with the latency to do things in really rhythmically sophisticated grids, just because it sort of gets lost, and so we have to keep a sort of rubato tempo. And if you think, okay, rubato or free or out of tempo, and then you're playing with secondal harmony, so you're going to have like a lot of minor seconds, a lot of minor ninths. It's going to sound really edgy. And I was thinking, yeah, realistically, like you probably could have guessed that before we even started playing, that based on the tempo and the intervals we're choosing, it's going to create a certain mood. And it did. And that could be really, really effective too when you're composing or improvising on a vamp and trying to create a mood where the harmony stays consistent. And if you want to create a mood, then for example, playing out of time, or maybe even if you're making an intro. For example, I transcribed the intro on one of my favorite guitarists' albums, Ben Monder, in Hydra. And his composition Hydra is just like, I believe it's 18 minutes long, but it starts with this really, really moody intro that's about a minute long, and then it goes into time, but the intro's out of time. And he actually uses this idea of building ideas with seconds, and then he pretty quickly uses sevenths as well and builds chords like that. So if you go up a second and then from that new note go up a seventh, for example, like if you started with C, you can go C, D, and then hit a major 7, C sharp. So C, D, C sharp, that would create like a very, she's got it already. Like you
yeah, man, that's super neat.
Like it sounds really, really dense. But it's totally coming out of that one intervallic idea, and you would come up with things like that, or more interesting like that, but just by nature of following the idea of intervallic composition playing around. So I thought it was really cool how it shapes the sound. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun, and hopefully next week we do something similar, because I want to keep this going. And it was very exciting. Like after we did one piece, I was like, oh, I want to do like 4 more pieces. And so
bartender another.
Yeah, it just kept going and kept going. So I'm sure it will inspire others too. But for any future episodes, please, we are not a closed environment. We're totally open-minded to hearing your suggestions. So in the comments below, please consider giving us some advice if you wanted us to hear certain episodes or us talking about certain things. We'd love to hear that, and if you like this episode, drop a like. And until next time, that was That Crazy Music Show!